त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देवा त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देवा त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देवा Shri Sai Deva.
Offering my prayerful pranams at the divine lotus feet of my beloved Bhagwan, who's my divine parent, my best friend, my closest relative, my highest wealth and wisdom, and my everything. Respected elders, brothers, sisters, and dear children, Sai Ram. Happy Ladies' Day to all the ladies here. And men, don't feel left out. It happens to be International Men's Day today. I did not know such a day existed till my father-in-law pointed out to me this morning. So happy Ladies' Day and International Men's Day. Give yourselves a big hand. In Tamil, we say, Iyal Isai Nadagam. And I think we were treated to that by the SSC children today. One more big hand for the children. A huge round of applause. Happy Swami's birthday to everybody. Now, some of the younger children here would be wondering, well, Swami's birthday is still 4 days away. Why is everybody celebrating it today, right? So I'll take you back in time over 25 years ago in the Anantapur campus for women. There's a campus, for the children who don't know, there's a women's campus, Swami's College in Anantapur, which is a few hours away from Puttaparthi. So Swami visited the Anantapur campus. This was in the mid to late 80s. And two of the girls who were friends were chatting amongst each other. And one girl was a Tamilian, the other girl spoke Telugu. So the Tamilian tells her Telugu-speaking friend, I wish Swami had come tomorrow instead of today, because tomorrow is Ekadashi. It's a very auspicious day. And her friend says, oh no, we actually celebrated yesterday. So they just had this conversation. And within moments, Swami appears for darshan. And he goes in front of these two sisters. And he asked them, when is Ekadashi? Very typical of Swami, isn't it? And one of the girls, she explains, well, Swami, we observe it tomorrow, but some people observed it yesterday. And Swami looked at her and said, you are happy. She is happy. Look around. Everybody is happy. I am happy. This is Vaikunta. Today is Ekadashi. So after seeing such a wonderful program where all of us are so excited, I see a lot of happy faces, and I truly am very delighted, very honored to be here. So it is Swami's birthday today. So let us wish Swami a very happy 92nd birthday from all of our hearts. Mahavishnu has promised Narada, Naham vasami vaikunte, yoginam hridayena cha, madbhakta yatra gayantri, tatra tishtami Narada. He says, O Narada, I do not reside in far, far away Vaikunta, nor in the hearts of these great sages and seekers. I reside where my devotees sing my name and speak about my glory. So he's verily present here in that chair, brothers and sisters. Let us not forget that. In the days during the transition from the Pata Mandiram to the Prashanti Nilayam, the mandir that we go to today. Pata Mandiram means old mandir, where Swami was giving darshan in the 50s. So when the transition was happening and construction, a lot of buildings were starting to come up. One of the old devotees from those days made bold and asked Swami, Swami, you say that in the days to come, thousands of devotees are going to come here to Prashanti Nilayam. How will they ever feel this intimacy, this proximity that we enjoy with you? How will they ever, experience that? It is not practically possible when the crowds increase. And Swami said, "Ee Prashanti Nilayamlo, Pranganamalo Kurchoni, Swami Kathalu Cheptuntaru. Right here in the precincts of Prashanti Nilayam, they will stand here and share with one another stories and leelas and miracles of Swami. Isn't that true, brothers and sisters? As I speak here today, preparations are underway in Prashanti Nilayam for an international Veda conference. Delegates from all over the world, SSC children, women, youth, are preparing to chant the Rudram, Mantra Pushpam in Swami's divine presence there in Prashanti Nilayam. Is this restricted just to Prashanti Nilayam? Or just Trai Vrindavan, or Sai Shruti, Dharma Kshetra, Sundaram? Here we are in Raleigh, far, far away, celebrating Swami's birthday. And as I speak here, there's a satsang in progress in Atlanta, where my brothers and sisters are celebrating Ladies' Day today. He's here with us, and we have to believe it in our hearts. Some of the experiences I share towards the second half of the talk are personal in nature, but I feel the lessons and the insights into the experiences are applicable to all of us. So I urge you to focus on the insights and the experiences and not just on the experience itself, because that is personal to me, but the lesson is applicable to all of us. In the Viveka Chudamani, Adi Shankara says, 3 boons are very rare and are only bestowed with the grace of the Lord. They are Manushyatvam, Mumukshatvam, Mahapurushasya Samshrayaha. What is Manushyatvam? This human birth. Out of the 84 lakh species, 8.4 million living species, human being is the crown jewel of God's creation. It is said, Jantu Nam, Narajanma Durlabam, so rare it is to have this human birth. What is Mumukshatvam? It is the desire to attain liberation, the desire to know God. It is the weekend before Thanksgiving. Gone are the days when people would go and shop on Black Friday. The deals are out early on in the weekend. You could be out there in Kohl's and everywhere looking at your Groupons and doing your shopping, but you chose to be here today. How many of your friends have that desire to be in God's presence, to hear about God? So consider yourself very lucky, very fortunate. Third, Mahapurushasya Samshrayaha. Association with a divine person, a sage, a guru, somebody who will point you to God. Out of the 7.6 billion or so in the world today, how many can say that God is their guru? So imagine how fortunate we are that Bhagwan himself is our guru, pointing us in the right direction. In the Shiva Puranam, Manika Vachagar says, Sivan avanyan sindayul nindra adanal, avan arulale avantal vanangi. If we are here at his lotus feet, able to think of him and reminisce about him, it is only because of his grace. Swami says, even 1,000 horses cannot pull you to me unless I have willed it. So we are here today because he has willed it. Let us be grateful for this opportunity. The easiest sadhana prescribed for this age of Kali that we live in. Children, the age of Kali Yuga, sadly, is also called the age of vice. But Swami says in this age, it is very easy to attain God. In the Treta Yuga, in the Dwapara Yuga, you had to do yajna was the way, or meditation. And Swami says, in this age, it is very simple. Nama Smarana, chanting the name of Lord, but not just chanting, chanting with faith, like you showed us in your beautiful place. Chanting the name of the Lord, that is the easiest sadhana prescribed for this world. Now, look at Swami, his life. What an ideal role model he was. He never tells us to follow anything that he himself did not follow. As a young lad, he wandered the streets of Puttaparthi and the nearby villages. He gathered other children his age. He taught them bhajans, and they would wander the streets and sing the glory of the Lord. And it is believed that it warded off a lot of diseases. Some of the neighboring villages had diseases, but the villages they traveled to and sang the Lord's glory, they were not affected. There was a beautiful musical offering where you played for Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam. How did Swami declare his avatarhood? Did he give a speech? He gathered the people and he sang Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam Dustara Bhavasagara Taranam Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam. He said, "O mind, meditate on the feet of the Lord." That is how he began his mission, isn't it? In some families, there is this habit of having the news running in the background, especially in India. A lot of my uncles and aunts, they have this habit. The TV is just running in the background. It is CNN or NDTV, it's just running in the background. And today, if you turn on the news, either you see news about hurricanes, forest fire, floods. Every other day, there's a terrorist attack or innocent civilians being hurt by mindless crimes, shooting. This is what we see in the news, right? Sometimes it's very depressing when you turn on the news. And Swami gives a beautiful example. Swami's analogies are so simple that even a 6-year-old can understand. A child in Group 1 can understand. I was so amazed that Varenya, I'm fortunate being hosted by Sai Deepa and her family. Varenya was so excited to come to center because she's going to go be with her pre-SSC friends. How many children are excited about going to a spiritual class, right? That's amazing. Your energy here is truly amazing. So I was talking about the analogies that Swami gives that connect to a 6-year-old and a 60-year-old PhD scholar alike. He says, how can you remove darkness? By bringing in light, correct? How can you remove a foul stench? I asked my SSC children, my Group 3 children, this a few weeks ago, and they said, Auntie, by using Febreze. But I would have thought by lighting an incense. So also, when you're surrounded by this kind of negative, depressing news, what is it that can pull you out of that? It's the chanting. It's chanting the name of the Lord. After hearing the wonderful musical talent here, I can only imagine how your Akhanda bhajans would have been last weekend, this time. We send so much wonderful, powerful energy out into the world. The only way to mitigate all of this is to send our love and light into the world. Another beautiful example Swami gives, which I really like. He says, having the name of the Lord on your tongue is like lighting a lamp and placing it at the threshold of your home. Not only does it light your home, it also lights the outside, right? You can see the light inside as well as outside. He says, when you have the name of the Lord on your lips, not only does it grant peace to you, it also grants peace to those who listen. Right? And the beauty about Sai Bhajans, whether or not you're a lead singer, whether the devotional coordinator assigns you a slot to sing on that particular day or not, you get to follow 50% of the time. Nobody can stop you from doing that, right? So that's the beauty of Sai Bhajans. So enjoy that. When you say you're going to be in a mosquito-infested area, how would you protect yourself, children? How would you protect yourself if you're going out in the Amazon jungle where there's mosquitoes? You'd use bug spray. In my days, we'd use this very smelly ointment that will even keep humans away from you. So Swami says, Namasmarana, having the Lord's name in your lips and good company. He says, it's like this bug spray. It acts like this ointment and it protects you. It's like this, there's this kavacham around you. It protects you. So keep that in mind, children. When you're out and about in the world, when your parents say, you're going out into this big, bad world, university, how are you going to stay safe? Tell them, I have Swami's name, Ma. I'm fine. Tell them that. What does Swami compare the mind to? He compares it to an animal. Can any children? Do you know the answer to that? Swami compares the mind to an animal. Monkey. Not just any monkey, it's a very special kind of monkey. He said, it's a mad monkey, not any mad monkey, a mad monkey bitten by a drunken scorpion. Now just close your eyes and picture that. A mad monkey bitten by a drunken scorpion. Why all this imagination, right? It goes to show the vagaries of the mind, how hard it is to control the mind. You could be sitting here looking at me, and I would think you're listening to me, but the ladies, maybe your mind is in, did I close the garage? Did I turn off the oven? Is the timer still beeping at home? That's the monkey mind. So how can you control this monkey mind? Is it even possible to control this monkey mind? Again, Swami gives a beautiful story. Actually, recently I saw this on Radio Sai. Uncle Lion's Tale, some of you children may be familiar. If you're submitting your articles to Radio Sai, I'm sure you're familiar with this story. Lion's Tale story of the genie and the mind, the genie and the pole. For those of you who may not be familiar with the story, interestingly, the children are very familiar with these stories. It's us adults who need a reminder, don't you think? So there's this man who has many desires. He goes to the sadhu and says, "Oh sadhu, can you help me? I have all these wishes." And the sadhu says, "Yes, I will grant you a genie who can fulfill any and all wishes. But there's a catch. This genie can never be left idle. If you do leave him idle, he will devour you." And this man says, "Oh, don't you worry about it. I have a laundry list. I have enough to keep this genie occupied for the rest of his life." He goes home. He asks for a beautiful palace to be built. Go and conquer all these neighboring kingdoms and go sow paddy in the fields. He gives him a big list of things to do. And the genie finishes it very quickly. And he comes back, and this man is like, "I can't even rest. This genie won't let me go." He realizes he made a mistake. He runs to the sadhu. And the sadhu tells him, so you're giving up after all, huh? He's like, no, give me, help me out here. And then the sadhu whispers something into his ears. This man comes back to the genie and he says, "Okay, genie, now erect a pole in the courtyard." Now the genie asks, "Gold, silver, brass, iron?" He's like, "Anything, it doesn't matter. Erect a pole, climb up and down this pole until I give you something else to do." Swami says, this genie is the mind and this pole is namasmarana. Now, whether you decide whether Veda chanting is your path, Rudram Chamakam, I'm going to get into this, I'm going to learn the Vedas. Namasmarana, I cannot chant the Vedas, I can sing the Lord's name. That could be your path. Hey, I can do the Sai Ashtotram, that could be your path. Choose whatever it is, and you can even switch between the two. But keep ruminating on that repeatedly. And when you do that, it becomes a habit. Remember how he told the genie, until you go on to the next task, it'll become such a habit that even when you're moving on to your task, when you're working at home, when you're working, you'll want to listen to those bhajans on radio, so you'll want it playing in the background. So it becomes a habit. Now our epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, Swami says, are like the two eyes for a man. He compares it to the heart and the head, not just of India. There are no geographical boundaries to these, right? The lessons, all of us can benefit from that. People from all walks of life, all over the world can benefit from that. I don't know about you children here, but growing up in India, I used to love reading the Amar Chitra Katha. Have some of you read the Amar Chitra Katha? Yes, I'm seeing a lot of ladies nod their heads. Yes, nostalgic memories, right? So one incident that I really liked it when I read about it. It's the Krishna Tulabaram incident. Satyabhama is very possessive. One of Krishna's consorts is very possessive of Krishna. She always believed Krishna is mine, while Rukmini said, "I am Krishna's." So Narada, who's famously known as Kalagamutti Narada, it looks like he's stirring confusion, but it always ends well. There's a moral for all of us to benefit from. Long story short, Narada gives her an idea. He says, if you want Krishna all to yourself, bring this tula, which is a balancing scale, place Krishna on one side, and place all the riches you can on the other side, and balance it. Once you make the weight, once it's balanced, you give that away in charity to me. I am a poor Brahmin, you can give that to me. And at that point, Krishna becomes yours. But as always, there's a catch. He says, if you're not able to do this, then you'll have to surrender Krishna as my slave. He becomes my slave for the rest of his life. Now, Satyabhama, being the daughter of a king, she is very confident, maybe even arrogant. And she says, oh, that's a piece of cake. I have all the riches in the world. She orders the treasure, everybody from the treasury, bring all the jewels, everything, the crown, the jewelry, everything, and they start piling it up. But there's not a dent. Krishna's sitting there, quite happily. It doesn't budge. Soon she realizes she's in deep trouble. Who does she go running to? She goes running to Rukmini. And Rukmini's in the middle of prayer. She says, oh, is that the case, Satyabhama? She decides, okay, let me see what I can do. On the way to the palace, Rukmini passes the Tulasi Madam, the holy basil leaf. She plucks the Tulsi leaf. She says, Krishna Arpanam. She comes and she places it on the taras, on the other side. And boom, Krishna goes up and the balance is level now. There is a deeper meaning to this. The form of the Lord can only be matched by the name of the Lord. Brothers and sisters, today in this time and age, there's a lot of distraction. We see a lot, we hear a lot of WhatsApp forwards that I get, that I don't, that I choose to ignore. There are many gurus visiting us. There are many parading like Swami. Just keep in mind, Swami himself has said, the only thing that can match the form of Satya Sai is the name of Satya Sai. If you chant his name, he will appear in front of you immediately. Using the same Rukmini and Satyabhama, Krishna stages another drama. I'm sharing these stories for the benefit of the children because they always like hearing stories. You can hear my stories, but I want to share some stories from the Puranas as well. Apparently, Rukmini and Satyabhama are a tad jealous of Draupadi. Though she's Krishna's sister, they're like, how come Draupadi is always getting your attention? She just has to say, "Oh Krishna," during the Vastraharanam, and you go running to her. You just drop everything and you go running to her. When Durvasa Muni came to her and asked to be fed after they had finished their meal, you went to her rescue again. You do this every time. It's not fair. So Krishna knew they had this little bit of jealousy. He decided to teach them a lesson. So one day he takes Rukmini and Satyabhama to Draupadi's palace. And Draupadi's just finished a nice hair wash. She's wearing a nice sari. She's drying her hair. Using a towel, she's drying her hair. And Krishna tells Rukmini and Satyabhama, go, help her out. If you remember from the Mahabharata, Draupadi has the long tresses, so she really could use extra help, right? So they go and help her out, and they hear, to their amazement, they hear Krishna, 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 Krishna. Every strand of her hair is chanting Krishna's name. It's like he's soaked into her very being. And then they realize, that explains why Krishna always runs to her. He's always in her mind. They learned their lesson. Another lesson like this from the Ramayana, children. I'm sure you've heard about this in your SSC classes or watched plays. When after Rama vanquishes Ravana and returns to Ayodhya and is crowned king during the Pattabhishekam ceremony, Sita gifts him a necklace, a pearl necklace that was given to her by Vibhishana. And when she hands it to Hanuman, Hanuman takes it very respectfully, but what does he do? He plucks each pearl, he bites it. Blasphemy, right? Bites it and he puts it to his ear. And he's checking to see if he can hear something. Now, naturally, what does everybody else in the court do? They say, "Oh, you fickle-minded monkey, you have proved that you are a monkey." Remember we said monkey mind? Whoever said monkey mind, right? Look at Hanuman, the ideal devotee. They make fun of Hanuman. And Hanuman says, no, I'm checking each pearl to see if it's reverberating the name of Rama. If it doesn't, it is of no value to me. It might be the most expensive pearl, but it is of no value to me if it doesn't chant the name of Rama. And somebody there haughtily says, you act as if you are fully immersed in Rama. He says, of course I am. Look at that confidence. It is not arrogance. When somebody asks you, children, Satya Sai Baba is long gone now. Say with confidence, not arrogance. He is always with me. I say that. He's always with me. Have that confidence that Hanuman had. He plucks a hair from his chest and everybody can hear Rama, 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 Rama. That is the power of the Lord's name, right? Purandara Dasa sings beautifully. Rama Nama Paya Sakke, Krishna Nama Sakkare, Rama Nama Paya Sakke, Krishna Nama Sakkare, Vithala Nama Tuppuva Kalisi, Pai Chappari Siro, Rama Nama Paya Sakke, Krishna Nama Sakkare. Imagine if we could sing our bhajans with this kind of feeling. Purandaradasa describes, enjoy this tasty, delicious payasam of Rama's name, with the sugar of Krishna's name, folded in with the ghee of Vitthala's name. Imagine, ladies, can we cook like this, thinking when we roast our semia in ghee and add the sugar and add the milk? Are we able to think like this? Especially when I'm making prasadam for an event, I play Radio Sai in the background. I tell myself, even if I'm mumbling, even if I'm disturbed with some other thoughts, in the background, Swami's bhajan is playing. That will take care of the quality of the food. Swami talks about 5 different kinds of shuddh, right? Imagine if we can bring that bhavam. That's what Swami is looking for us, right? The bhavam. He's not bahya priya. He doesn't look at the external show. He's not looking to see what ragam. Is that a minor ga or a major ga? He's not looking at all of that. He's looking to see what is your bhavam. Are you offering that with that bhavam? Swami once told Brother T.V. Hariharan, you think Tyagaraja sat with his harmonium or his Shruti Petti and said, I will compose this kriti in Hamsadhvani Ragam. He said every composition was a conversation with God. That is how these bhajans came. I talked about bhavam a little bit. Bhavam is the feeling. My son is here. He loves to sing bhajans. Lately, his newfound passion is playing the harmonium. I tell him, bhavam is the most important thing. So what is this bhavam, this feeling? And how is that something you can develop? When you're singing Sai bhajans, for instance, if it's a bhajan like Krishna Rama Govinda Gokula Nandana Gopala, it's just the names of the Lord, right? You're just chanting the names of the Lord. But say you're selecting a bhajan like Daya Karo Hari Narayana Karuna Sagar Narayana. Now a child who grew up here in America, who can only speak English fluently and understand a little bit of Tamil or Telugu or Hindi, what do these words Daya Karo Hari Narayana mean? You can point them to the Vrindamritam. They will still not know that Daya means mercy, Kripa means mercy. They will still not be able to make that connection, right? If they don't understand the meaning, does that mean they are singing without bhavam? You have to make an effort, children, to understand at least the bhajans that you are leading. That's what I tell my children. You can't possibly learn everything. At least the bhajan that you're leading, if you're assigned a slot and your devotional coordinator or your SSC teachers tell you, this is the bhajan you're going to sing this Sunday. It's your duty to at least go pull that up and see what is the high-level meaning of that bhajan. So you would ask me, so if I don't understand word by word, does that mean I'm singing without bhavam? I'll give you an example. Both my children, as they were growing up, they got a lot of ear infections. I knew I would call the doctor and I would know exactly what the doctor would prescribe, amoxicillin. I could prescribe it. They were given that drug. Now, I do not know the chemical composition of amoxicillin. My daughter doesn't know. My son doesn't know. But it still worked every time. Worked like a charm. So even if you don't understand, the effect is still there. You can believe some scientist, some pharmacist who put that drug together and a doctor who prescribed it. Why can we not believe these sages and these seers who gave us these shlokas selflessly, right? These bhajan composers, the brothers, some of the brothers from Swami's institution who've given us these bhajans, I know T.V. Hariharan and Sonam, these are all, they are selfless. They are like sages. They've given us these bhajans that for generations to come we are going to be singing the glory of the Lord, right? Have faith. We talked a lot about faith today in the SSC programs. The story of Ratnakara comes to mind. It is an ideal example for doing something with bhavam. He started off as a notorious thief. Not only did he rob from people, he even murdered people. They would pass through the forest, he would stop them, take their jewelry, and go and feed his family. When sage Gautama passed by that way, his time for transformation had come. And sage Gautama told him, son, why are you wasting away your life like this, doing such heinous crimes? He says, but I don't know any other way to feed my family. He says, okay, you're feeding your family by taking all of these jewels from these people and hurting them in the process. Is your family going to share in your sins that you accrue in committing these crimes? He says, well, if they share my booty, they better share in my sins as well. He says, why don't you go ask your family? He promptly does that. He goes back to his wife and she says, I want no part in this. I did not tell you to do this. If you are going to earn your money by hook and crook, I'm not going to share any part in this. And then he's in for a shock. He's very disappointed. He comes back and the sages help him. They say, okay, is there any way for me to come out of this? How can I atone for my sins? And they tell him, yes, there is. Chant the name of Rama. They say, just say Rama, 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 Rama. But he's such a heinous sinner that he cannot even put together these two syllables, Rama. And Swami describes beautifully how a very young child won't be able to say Ra. They'll say Ya, Yama, Yama, Lama. Swami says that beautifully in his discourses. He cannot even say Rama, put it together. Look how fortunate we are that we are able to sit for 24 hours and sing the Lord's name, all the different names. This man could not even put Ra and Ma together, two syllables. And then they think, what can we do? How can we help this man? And they see an axe lying and then a wooden rod and a screw. They ask him, what is that? He points to the screw and says, oh, that's Mara. They say, okay, just keep saying Mara, 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 Mara. Remember when I told you Will you still have the same effect if you sing a bhajan without understanding the meaning? This is an ideal example for you children. Not that it's an excuse to sing it the wrong way. He keeps saying mara, 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 mara. What happens eventually? Mara, 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 mara. What does it sound like? Rama, Rama, Rama. You're very quiet, children. It becomes Rama, 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 Rama. And eventually he loses body consciousness and anthills grow around him. Snakes are coming in there and anthills are growing around him. Over the course of a few years, the Sapta Rishis, the 7 Rishis pass by that area and they hear from somewhere Rama, Rama. They look around and they only see anthills. They say, oh, this must be a great sage. And they give him the name Valmiki. That's how he gets the name Valmiki. So look at this. He was an illiterate thief, a robber, a murderer. From where, look what he did eventually. He wrote the Ramayana. He composed the Ramayana that all of us read to this day. Isn't that amazing? What an amazing journey. Our Puranas also tell us of the story of a man named Ajamila. He was born in a Brahmin family. He learned the Vedas. He was taught right from wrong. But he fell into bad ways and he committed a lot of sins. When it was time for him to pass away, when he was lying in his deathbed, he called to his son, his favorite son, his youngest son. His name was Narayana. He says, oh, Narayana, he calls to him at this age of 80 plus. What happens in the meantime is the Yamadutas, or the messengers of Lord Yama, the Lord of Death. They come there promptly to take him where? To take him to hell. But when he says Narayana once, the Vishnu Dutas arrive there in their beautiful heavenly, with their wings and everything, they arrive there. And imagine the scene. Ajamila is lying in his deathbed, but he's aware because of the punyam he's committed in his first half of his life, where he earned a lot of punyam to be able to see them and hear them. He's witness to this conversation between the Vishnu Dutas, the messengers of Vishnu, and the messengers of Yama. And there's an interesting conversation that happens. And the Vishnu Dutas stop the Yama Dutas and say, no, you cannot take him. They say, well, you know the kind of life he's been leading. He deserves to go to hell. They say, no, but remember, he called on Narayana. They say, but he wasn't even referring to God. He was referring to his son. He wasn't even calling God. He says, it doesn't matter. This 8-syllable word, Narayana, is so powerful that it wipes away all the sins he committed. You cannot take him with you. And they give up. The messengers of Yama leave, and the Vishnu Dutas leave. And here he is, Ajamila, lying there thinking, just by saying the name of the Lord once, that too without even realizing I was saying the name of the Lord, if all of my sins could be wiped out, how I've wasted my life. I'm going to make a start now. And he finds this newfound strength, and he gets up, he abandons everything, he takes a pilgrimage towards Haridwar, and he spends the rest of his life in contemplation of the Lord. And it is said that he does attain mukti in that very birth. So if there's anybody in here feeling, oh, I'm a sinner, I don't deserve this, think about this story. Think about the story of Ratnakara. There is atonement for everyone. The Lord is waiting for that one sincere prayer, for that one call. He's waiting to respond to us. The story of Ajamila reminds me of a beautiful Tamil song. Nambi kettavar yevaraiya, umai nambi kettavar yevaraiya. It's a beautiful song in Hindolam. Papanasham Shivam, he says, can anybody be cheated by putting their faith in you? Can anybody be cheated, Lord? In the song, he beautifully says in the second charanam, in the final moments, when your body is giving up, you may not be able to say the name of Shiva. He says you may not be able to bring yourself to say Shiva, put that together. So say it today. Parag, he says, practice by saying the name today. So even those final moments, it'll become natural and it'll come from your mouth, he says. And I have heard many discourses where Swami has actually thumped on the table and he said, Nammaka chedinevaru ee lokamlo unnaru kani, nammi chedinevaru leru. Swami would thump on the table and say that. By not putting their faith on someone, people can be cheated. But when you have faith, you will never be let down by God. That's a promise Swami has given us. I will share a few of my personal experiences now. I know that's the part usually everybody likes to hear. I've chosen a few experiences that happened post-Mahasamadhi. In fact, these were as recent as spring of this year. there was a 2 to 3 month period where I was traveling every other week. My family had to put up with my travels. I was traveling to different parts of the country, to different regions on Swami's work. So in early March, Region 7, Northern California, they invited me to attend a women's mini retreat as a speaker. So that Saturday morning, I had a 1-hour talk scheduled with the women, and later in the afternoon, I had to facilitate a workshop. And the following day, I addressed the SSC children, 2 different groups, facilitated a study circle, and I was to give a talk in the Central San Jose Center. So it was an action-packed 6 hours worth of talking involved. Now, given the time difference and everything from Atlanta to there, it's a 3-hour difference from here to the Pacific time. So I arrived there on Wednesday night. Since I was going there early, I went to visit an old friend of the family, and I stayed with them. The family had just returned from India. So 3 of them had the stomach flu, a very severe bug. And you know what comes with the stomach flu? A lot of vomiting, diarrhea, and chills, all of those symptoms. You can try to be careful, but if you're meant to get it, you're going to get it, right? So the night before the talk on Friday night, 9:30, we are driving back after a tour of, we took the Red Bus tour. On the way back, I cannot contain it, I have to throw up. Luckily, he had just taken the exit, and I throw up, and there's purging happening. All night for the next 3 or 4 hours, I threw up 10, 15, 20 times. My body is shaking. I cannot even hold myself. If you've ever had the stomach flu and you've thrown up, you know exactly how that feeling is. I was shaking like this. Forget about preparing for the talk. Forget about I was like, am I going to make it to that 9 a.m. talk? Until 7 a.m. in the morning, I did not know if I was going to make it. I did not know anybody in that region personally, any of the organizers, so I couldn't even call and say, hey, can you arrange for a backup? In fact, that's what happened in Atlanta right now. We were to have 2 different sets of speakers. One of the speakers couldn't make it because they had a family emergency. The last minute, they found somebody else to cover. I couldn't bring myself to tell Prema Auntie, there is a chance I might not be able to make it. And fortunately for me, my mother, who's my pillar of strength, she was with me at that time. There in California, she's now in India. She said, Anu, Swami's called you for his work. Have faith. Today when I was watching the program on faith, I was thinking, you have to have faith. He takes you to the end of the cliff to see if you'll give up. And then when you hold on to him, he comes to your rescue. At 7 in the morning, I decide, okay, I'm going to do this with your help, Swami. With Swami's grace, the talk happens. I remember I was up here on the stage and my mother was right here in the front. She was waiting with some bags in case I were to throw up. I went prepared with hankies and all of that. I went up there like I have my water bottle. I had all of that prepared just in case. I could say I have faith 50 years with the family at Swami, but there's always that what if, right? That's where Swami is watching to say, are you going to say what if or are you going to believe? Total surrender. So I get through that talk and I say, thank you, Swami. I say, maybe I did fight the germs, huh? Afternoon, the workshop goes well. The next day with Swami's grace, everything goes well. Before my very final talk at the Sai Center there in Central San Jose, a lady comes up from among the devotees and she hands me a chilled bottle of Gatorade and this exact same bottle of smart water. And she says, Pavan sent these for you. So Pavan is the brother, friend of my husband Rajesh, is from back in school. My mother and I were staying with him for a couple of days, him and his family, and then we moved on to the hosts who had invited us for this program. She said, Pavan sent these for you. So I just imagined, okay, he has young children, he couldn't make it to the satsang, so he sent the drinks for me knowing, I was dehydrated. I thought that was very nice of him. I drank the Gatorade, I went and gave my talk, said thank you everybody, and later that night, before turning in, I sent Pavan a text message. I said, hey, Pavan, thanks so much for thinking of me. That was very thoughtful of you to send the drinks. And he says, what drinks? I said, did you not send me the drinks? Are you kidding? He says, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. And children, if I have 2 teenage children. They have not had the good fortune of interacting with Swami on a personal basis. So sometimes they ask, are you sure, Mom, it's not your mind playing tricks on you? So I save these texts, these WhatsApp conversations. So I have the text if any of you are curious. No judging. If you want to see, I'll show it to you. He says, what drinks? I said, a lady came and handed these drinks and said, they're for you. So I assumed you sent them, knowing, I needed to stay hydrated. He says, Anu, you just witnessed a miracle of Swami. I said, what are you talking about? Knowing the task I had at hand, he felt very guilty that I had contracted the virus from his family. So he felt very guilty. Imagine if that happens to you. In fact, you may not believe, but I came in here with a very terrible cold, the worst cold that I've had in years. Sai Deepa will tell you how I've quarantined myself. I stayed away from everybody else. I wasn't even touching the food serving. But it's like Swami has arrested the cold now. It's like he's closed the tap, the faucet. I just hope he doesn't turn it back on as soon as I'm done with the talk. So in coming back to the story with Pavan, he said, knowing the task you had at hand, I prayed to Swami. I sat in front of Swami's picture and I said, Swami, I feel terrible. You need to help her. And he said Swami guided him to use this particular meditation technique where he sends his love and light to me, to surround me, and to protect me. He said, I just tried that, but you telling me this, it's like reassuring me that the prayer has reached you. It's a very selfless prayer by somebody, right, for me. I didn't even know that. Now, you may say it is possible that you heard Pavan when she never said Pavan. Possible, but why should I tell him that and why should he tell me? Otherwise, I would have never known about this prayer, right? So he's there watching everything. A couple weeks later, there was a program in Dallas, Region 10. As she introduced in the beginning, I'm very fortunate to be part of this core group of Anantapur sisters who've had the good fortune of traveling to different parts of the country and even to Trinidad. As a group, different centers or regions invite us and say, hey, can you conduct us a half-a-day program or a one-day program for Swami's birthday or Aradhana Day? We've been very fortunate. I've traveled with the group for a few years now. So Region 10 in Dallas, they had invited us. So there was a program scheduled for the first weekend of April this year. So having no background in music, having never learned music formally, somehow I landed in the role of helping with plan. We call ourselves the lead, but Swami gives you that role. You're still a Sai Sevak. He says, put together this music program for the offering. So I was involved in a lot of, if you have children, youth here, if you're involved in any music programs, there's conference calls. I guess here in Raleigh, you don't have to deal with that because everybody is within 20, 25 minutes away, so you meet in person. So these sisters are from across the country, so we had a lot of conference calls, a lot of preparation coming up. So one of the akkas, I know her friend Lakshmi is here in the group, Lakshmi Gopal, Prashanti Akka. Prashanti Akka is a few years senior to me. She's based in New Jersey. So she had the task of putting together the PowerPoint for this musical offering. So one night she WhatsApped me. Again, I have this conversation for anybody who'd like to see it. And she said, Anu, can you take a look at the most recent set of slides and make sure, it matches with the songs we have in the lineup? I say, oh, Akka, we haven't had power for an hour now. And this was before Irma, before any of this recent drama with the hurricane started. This was as early as April. In my 19 years in the US, it had not happened that power went and for an hour it hadn't come back, for no apparent reason. So saying, there's no power, Akka, so I'm just holding on to the last thread with my phone, so I can't boot up my computer and check it. Is it okay if I look at it tomorrow? She says, yeah, that's fine. Oh, so you haven't had power for an hour, is it? I see Brother Girish there. He'll tell you I shared this story at the alumni meet in Greensboro. Some of my Sai sisters here were there when I shared this story. So she says, Anu, this reminds me of an incident that happened back in my Anantapur days. Now remember, this Akka is like 3 to 4 years senior to me. So apparently she had a senior who was 2 or 3 senior to her, so it's super senior, this Akka, who thought the Trayambakam prayer was an electricity prayer. I'm seeing some of you chuckle, and frankly, when she did tell me that, I did a, really? No, you can say, oh, I have 50 years of my family with Swami, but when she said that, I said, oh, really? Somebody actually thought there's a shloka for electricity? I know you've heard of Amrita Varshini Raga, it can invoke the rains, or Raga Surya, it can light you up, Rag Deepak. So I just smiled. She said, Anu, this Akka, you won't believe it. We had a tradition in the hostel where if the power goes off, especially in the night, it's a women's campus, it's all girls, right? If the power goes in the night, we'll all step outside our rooms. And the way the hostel was constructed, it's a rectangle with 3 floors. Everybody would step outside their rooms, and it was an open quadrangle in the center. We had a beautiful garden. We'd just stand there and we'd chant the Trayambakam mantram that appears in the Rudram. So when the Akka said that, she said, Anu, you chant it also. Who knows, chant the prayer. This was around 11 in the night. Everybody had gone to sleep. There's no power. What are you going to do? You can't be on your devices. Everybody's in bed. So I'm sitting there. I still remember that moment exactly where I was sitting in my house, where in the couch. I'm sitting there, I put my head down, brothers and sisters. I did not even say it out loud. I'm just mumbling. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityor mukshiyamamritat. Boom! I hear the sound. The microwave comes on, the lights turn on, the TV turns on, everything turns on. I'm like, okay, this is a little surreal now. Wow, did that really happen? I take a moment and I immediately pick up my phone. I'm like a teenager when it comes to the phone. So I WhatsApp this Akka back. I said, Akka, you won't believe what happened. She says, what happened? I said, I just chanted it once. I did not even chant it out loud, mind you. And I can't say, brothers and sisters, that I chanted with faith, or I wasn't even thinking, oh, power, please come back on. I have work to do. I have PowerPoint slides to get through. I just sat there and chanted it once, not even out loud. Even before I could finish, the power came back on. This Akka was so happy to hear that. She said, Swami is continuing to prove to us that he's always with us, listening to our prayers. But the story doesn't end here. If you're skeptical, you'll think, well, the power was probably going to come back at that point anyways. It's very convenient for us. We call things coincidence because it's convenient for us to say. But that's when Swami decides, fine, you call it coincidence, that's fine. It is a Sai incidence, but fine, I'll let you call it a coincidence. Exactly 12 hours later, I go to bed thinking, wow, Swami, amazing. Next morning, exactly 12 hours later, around 11 in the morning, Prashanti Akka messages me. She says, Anu, guess what? I said, yes, Akka. She says, last night I went to bed thinking, wow, isn't that amazing? In the morning, as soon as I woke up, I reached out to my batchmates. They have a WhatsApp group, apparently, for everybody from that batch. I think it was 91-90 batch. I reached out to my sisters and asked if they remembered the name of this Akka, who thought Trayambakam was an electricity prayer. I'll take a few guesses as to what this Akka's name was. Brothers, sisters, any guesses? What the name of this sister who thought the Trayambakam prayer was an electricity prayer? No guesses? Come on, children. No? This Akka's name was Anuradha. That is my name. Just when you think, maybe it's a coincidence, Swami leaves his signature. He says, in case you had any doubt, look at him, he had to plan everything so beautifully, so many years ahead of time, and he knew something was like that was to happen, and all of you here had to hear this, right? He's always there listening to every prayer, brothers and sisters. Let's believe that. A couple weeks after that, okay, all right. I was in Seattle a few weeks after that for Aradhana Day. There was a retreat. I stayed with the Sai family there, and they knew that I had some back issues. I have a degenerative disc disease, and I have a lot of back issues and neck issues. So a few days after I returned from that trip, one morning this brother Ananta who hosted me, he messaged and said, Anu Ammalu Bangarutalli, did you get a good night's rest? I said, you won't believe it, Ananta. I slept very well, after a long time. I slept very well for 8 hours. He said, I just prayed before I went to bed last night, I prayed to Swami and said, my dear Sai sister, Swami, she's traveling in your name, she's spreading your message. She has to touch more lives, Kada. Please bless her so she can touch more lives. And he actually said he visualized Swami's light surrounding my spinal cord, rejuvenating me and giving me energy. And I don't know if it was a coincidence, but when he shared that, I was very touched. So I'm sharing this to tell you that a selfless prayer that we make for somebody else can help them. Sometimes people come and tell us, I have a financial crisis, or I'm going through this. How can you help? You cannot always help them physically, but you can pray for them, right? We can all do that for others. How much time? Did you say 5 minutes? Okay. Okay. All right. I have to cut short. All right. So we talked about faith today a little bit and some personal experiences around that. Now, it is important to have your own prayer routine, right? It gives you discipline. So my prayer routine for every day is chanting Vishnu Sahasranamam, Rudram, and then Sathya Sai Ashtotram. So for today, I chose a few names from the Sathya Sai Ashtotram that I connect to very deeply. And you can talk about each name for hours, but I chose a few names to share some experiences with. So the very first Sai Ashtotra Namavali, it says, Om Shri Sai Satya Sai Babaya Namaha, right? Sathya means truth. In the year 1961, Professor Kasturi was the editor of the Sanatana Sarthi at that time. He was putting together the magazine for that release, and it was Dashara time. So he had chosen a picture of Durga and a picture of Swami to go in the front and the back, and he took it to Swami for his approval. He had identified a caption for Swami's picture. He called it Satya Sai Mata. Swami looked at it and he said, change it. So Professor wondered, what's Swami going to change it to? You would think Swami changed it to Sai Mata, right? But Swami changed it to Satya Mata. He says everything else in this world is mithya, is transient. Swami is the only true mother we have, right? Sai is divine mother. Baba is father. I remember some of my seniors sharing. During my time as a student, Professor Hemalata, she was the principal of our campus. She says during the markings for the Anantapur campus, even before the building came up in 1970, when they were going to do the markings for the campus, Swami was invited. And Swami looked among the crowd and he chose one of the taller, big-built gentlemen that was Professor Hemalata's husband. He told him to pick a stone and he said, throw it as far as you can. Everybody was wondering, what is the point of this exercise, Swami? He did as he was ordered. He threw the stone. And Swami said, go 50 feet further and draw the marking there. That's where the campus should come. And Swami explained later, these girls have been sent here by their parents. I'm their guardian. I'm their mother and father. I have to protect them like the mother and father. And he truly was that. I see some of my Anantapur sisters here. Wouldn't you agree that he truly was a mother and father? Not just to us Sai students. Who is a Sai student, brothers and sisters? If we follow his message, we are his students. Otherwise, you just got a degree from the institute. That doesn't make us a Sai student. Following Swami's message makes us a Sai student. I often tell my friends, my husband didn't go to Swami school, but he follows Swami's message more than I do. He especially gives me the Ceiling on Desires lecture every time I go to Nalli or Kumaran in India. A song that we've sung for Swami, the Anantapur girls here would be able to connect with that we would sing to Swami in our gratitude programs. It really summarizes the relationship we had with Swami. सूरज से किरणों का रिश्ता सीप से मोती का तेरा मेरा वो रिश्ता जो आँख से ज्योति का. What is this relationship that we have with Swami? It's like that of the sun with its rays, the oyster with the pearl, the eyes with the light in the eyes. Can they be separated? Look how closely intertwined they are. That's how our relationship with Bhagwan is. Another name that is very dear to me, Om Shri Sai Sarvantaryamine Namaha. We often hear how Swami is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. He's all-powerful, all-pervasive. He can do anything, right? My very first experience as a Satya Sai student, after I had become a student of the Institute, was the summer course of 1992. That year, particularly, was very busy. A lot of dignitaries were visiting Trai Brindavan, and Swami said, I'm very busy. I cannot give you Padanamskar before sending you away to your respective campuses. But it was a tradition, something that we really took for granted then, that he would distribute saris. Those of the sisters here from the 80s and 90s, you would recollect. Vijayaka, you'd remember 1992, the white sari with pink flowers. Do you remember that? So that year, Swami said, all of you come inside the Trai lawns. I will distribute the saris. You collect your saris and just go your way. I do not have to have time to walk amidst you and give you Pad Namaskar. I was very disappointed. Just that morning, I was complaining, grumbling to my mother. I said, I'm very homesick. Take me away. I don't want to be. I only want Swami. I don't want the hostel, the rules. Take me away, Mom. She said, no, Swami says, Ninta, Venta, Genta, Eplunta. He's always with you. He's not just with you, beside you. He's also in you. He can hear every thought. Pray to Swami. He'll respond. So when Swami sent word about this, the saris, I was very disappointed. I said, I'm going to go away so far, far from Prashanti Nilayam while the boys enjoy all the physical proximity. Swami, you can't just send me away without a Pad Namaskar. And I realized I came up with what I thought was a foolproof plan with God. Doesn't happen, right? So as Swami was handing out the saris, I decided as he'd give me my sari, I would collect it, but I would accidentally drop it by his feet, and when nobody would notice, I'd just touch his feet and nobody would notice. It could have worked, right, sisters? It could have worked. Except with Swami, you can't play any tricks. So when he handed me my sari, he held on to it for dear life. There's this little tug of war going. What seemed like minutes, which only lasted a few seconds. And then he gave me, after a few seconds, when I'd learnt my lesson, he gave me a gotcha. He gave me that look. And I sheepishly took the sari and went. I remember the sisters said, "You're so lucky, Swami spent all that time." Like, if only you knew. But in hindsight, now when I look back, I know he was proving to me, he was responding to what my mother said earlier that day, that he's listening and he's responding instantaneously, not minutes later. When Hiranyakashipu said, is your Hari in this pillar? Did Hari come from somewhere and hide in the pillar? He was all along there. He's right, like he is right here in that chair listening to the story and saying, I gave you that experience so these devotees can hear that and they can believe I'm listening to everything, right? Indweller of our hearts. So when we sing a bhajan like Antaranga Sai, Anath Nath Sai, how will you develop this bhavam? Make your own story. I do that. It helps me connect. Make your own story. Think about experiences that have happened in your life. Or imagine it even. Say, this is what I would have done with Swami. Imagine the stories. Like that. Another name, Bhaktavatsalaaya Namaha. What is Vatsalyam? It is the love a mother has towards her child, right? I remember one of my seniors in Anantapur. This Akka, she had lost her mother in a fire accident. She had very severe burns. And when she was waiting for Swami's darshan before she could go see her mother, this experience was shared in the Avatar Day celebrations earlier this year. Sisters, if you've seen the video, that's now our Alumni Day, October 20th. Swami came out for darshan and he told her, life dene se bhi prayojan nahi. Even if I'd given her life, it would have been of no use. If you had seen your mother in that condition, you would have prayed and said, Swami, please take her away. I don't want to watch her suffer like this. Swami said, Kya hua ek maa gaya to 1,000 mata hai. He told her, so what if you lost one mother? I will give you the love of 1,000 mothers. Many years later, when this Akka she had labor pains, she was getting ready to deliver her second child. She had a very prolonged labor, 22 hours. And she reminded Swami of his promise, very sarcastically, laying in the hospital bed. She said, you said you'll give me the love of 1,000 mothers. Not only did you snatch my mother away, here I am suffering to bring this child out. That exact moment, she said, Swami manifested there along with her mother. And within moments, she delivered a healthy baby child, a baby girl. In Anantapur, another song we would sing to Swami, Talli vinive, Tanri vinive, Challaga karunimche, Daivamu nive. There is a verse, one of the charanams. Galilona deepamula unnamaya, Ni jali vallane veluguchunnamaya. The meaning of this lyric is, Swami, we may be like these lamps swaying in the tumultuous winds. It is your grace that protects us. I remember when we sang these lyrics, Swami looked upset. He said, stop it. My devotees, at the time he said, my daughters. But it applies to all of us, brothers and sisters. You will never be in a condition like that. Sometimes it may seem like you're going through the ups and downs in life, but His grace is always there. He says, I protect you like the eyelid protect the eyes. Wow, which story to share and which to hold back. A book, there are two books that I really love that I go back to very often. One is Loving God by Professor Kasturi. It's an autobiography. And the other is Sri Sathya Sai Anandadai. It's a beautiful pink book. It's actually a journal. This devotee, long-term devotee, has maintained journal, her interactions with Bhagwan. In that she shares how in their family they had a tradition of chanting the shloka, which in a lot of our Hindu temples we'll hear this, Papoham, Papakarmaham. You must be familiar with that. So when they do their pradakshina, circumambulation, they would chant this shloka. So when they visited Swami for darshan, Swami said, why do you chant this? You are not papatmas. Papatma is a sinner. He said, you are not papatmas, you are all punyatmas. He actually said, amrita swarupas, embodiments of divinity. Swami, in his discourses, was he just saying prema swaruplara? Some devotees, when we look at, will say, where is the prema in this person? But Swami saw the love in that person. He said, Divyatma Swarupulara. We are all embodiments, reflections of his divinity. Right? It is Bhagwan's birthday today. We are gathered here to wish him a happy birthday. But what is the birthday gift that we can give him? He says, Mi anandame na aharamu. In his famous bhajan, love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. Who's bliss? He's always in bliss. How many pictures have you seen of Swami crying? If there are any videos of maybe Swami's 85th birthday comes to mind, where he's seen profusely shedding tears and crying, it's his love. As the devotees affected from the different tragedies that came up and shared how Swami's water project and the hospital gave them life, Swami's feeling one among them and he's crying, he's reflecting their emotions. Swami's never sad, he's always happy. It is that happiness that he wants from us. He says, I don't want your Vyakti Prachara. I don't want you to go around like this giving platform speeches about how great Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba is. Picture, Amritam appears from pictures, Vibhuti appears from pictures. That is not what he wants. He does not want Vyakti Prachara. He says, I want Tattva Prachara. Live my message. It's enough to go around and say, Satya Sai Baba embodied all these virtues. Are you embodying those virtues as you're living your life every day? Are those who do not know anything about Satya Sai Baba, are they able to look at you and say, there is somebody I want to emulate? That goes directly back to Swami. That is how we offer our gratitude to Swami. And that is the birthday gift he wants from us. You know, we can attend many satsangs like this. We can attend our regional retreat, travel all over the world and not miss a single Samarpan talk. We can listen to every satsang there is. But Swami says it's still a tamasic act. You're just sitting back. You might be actively listening. But Swami says it's a lazy act. You're just listening. On the way back today, you may be talking to one another and going, Namasmarana, if that worked for that auntie with Trayambakam, I'm going to make it a point. From now on, 15 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day, I'm going to chant my 10 Gayatris, my 15 Gayatris, my how many ever Gayatris. That is a Rajasic act. You decide I'm going to take action and do that. You'll do it for 1 week, you'll do it for 2 weeks, and then it'll fall through the cracks. You forget about it. Finally, so Shravanam, Mananam. Swami says it becomes a sattvic act only when you put it into practice. When you actually do it, follow through on what it is you've promised, and only then it becomes a sattvic act. I remember 1993 Shivratri discourse, after 12 hours of singing, Swami said, it is not enough. You sang all these bhajans for 12 hours, beautiful, Namasmarana is great, but it is of no use. In fact, he took to task a lot of the permanent residents who just come sing bhajans, go sleep, come sit in the veranda, go sleep. He actually takes them to task, brothers. If you should listen to that discourse. He says, Tintaru ostaru kuchuntaru, Tintaru ostaru kuchuntaru. He makes fun. He says, it's not enough. I don't want that from you. I don't want you to just be singing my name. Are you doing Rama's Karyam? He recollects a conversation between Hanuman and Vibhishana, where Vibhishana cries to Hanuman. He says, I too chant the name of the Lord, but how is it that I have never had the vision of the Lord or the pleasure of interacting with Rama? And Hanuman says, have you done any work for Rama? Have you helped Sita go back to her husband? You've done nothing. That's when the light bulb goes off. And we know how the story was at that point. Swami does not need us. We need him. When the construction for the Prashanti Nilayam Mandir was happening, Swami said, I just have to clap my hands and this mandir will come up. He said, everything is in these hands. Yet why does he use you and me? Why does he need a team of brothers to set up the audio-video system? Why does he need a few of us? He can have the Ranjani Gayatris and the Bombay Jayashris of the world come and sing to him. Why does he give you and me the opportunity? Right? Why should he? It is to give us an opportunity to get close to him. He once told the boys who were distributing laddus, he said, I'm giving you this opportunity to do seva because there might be times when you'll go through the ups and downs of life. Life won't be all fine and dandy. That time I will think, how can I reward this person? And this little seva that you did, I will reward you back 1,000,000-fold. Swami orders the laddus, he pays for the laddus, he calls these boys and says, distribute the laddus, and he says, I'll reward you for it. That's the benevolent Lord. I will close with a prayer of gratitude to Bhagwan, and I truly thank all of you for having me here today. What thanks can we render, Sai, for the gifts thou hast showered on us? Every day we will blossom in thy love and light. What thanks can we render, Sai? Mother Sai gives the love of 1,000 mothers. Father Sai gives the care of 1,000 fathers. Guru Sai imparts the knowledge of 1,000 teachers. The ways chosen are innumerable. The ways chosen are inexplicable. What thanks can we render, Sai? Happy birthday, Swami. Jai Sai Ram. Sorry.